maybe you all could introduce yourselves. You know.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle. Hi, I'm Clara. I'm the producer.
I'm Ryder, the composer.
I'm Joe, I'm the editor.
And we have.
We had
And
a
Marisa. So I guess was this the first time a lot of you had seen the film since Slamdance? And if so, or if not, what surprised or frustrated or delighted you about seeing it again tonight?
It was Henry's first time.
I would say, yeah, I think it's just beautiful.
Well, no, I mean, this is a mess for everybody, so this is way in.
Then we opened it was fun.
It's very surreal seeing it at the Arclight.
Yeah, for sure.
Such a wonderful audience. Thanks for coming.
Well, what kind of venue was it at Slamdance? Because it's sort of,
It was a basement show.
right, it's sort of duct tape and glue and scissors there, right?
And it was fun.
So the movie is a sort of companion piece to Giacomo's Palo Alto because it is based on the short stories by James Franco.
So, Gabrielle, why don't you talk a little bit about how James approached you for the project?
We were classmates at NYU, and we had worked together for a number of years on various projects, on some short films, and then a movie called The Color of Time that I directed one of the segments for. And then he had this idea of wanting several directors to adapt the book Palo Alto, and so he asked Gia to do the teenager stories, and then he asked me to do the stories about childhood, which are actually now in a different book called A California Childhood. And then, yeah, that's how it came about.
And you were classmates?
And we were classmates, yeah, at NYU.
And so this was an Indiegogo funded project, so you can probably speak to this as well. Can you talk about that process, and would you recommend that to other indie filmmakers looking to make their first feature, which this is Gabrielle's first feature film, by the way?
I signed on after they raised the money. So Gabby can talk about it.
Well, I think it was an amazing experience being able to fund the film through Indiegogo, and a large part of it obviously had to do with James's help and how he brought the funds in. So I don't think it's easy to compare it to other Indiegogo experiences. And then it was also in collaboration with the Art of Elysium that he that's how the project got funded, was in collaboration with this charity. So in a way, I mean, it is atypical for a film to be funded that way.
Well, the nice thing about Indiegogo is you can keep whatever funds you raise, even if you don't meet your goal.
Yeah.
But did you meet your goal?
I think we maybe got to like 3/4. So it was like enough to make the movie, but yeah, it was good that it wasn't.
That's what I was, hinting at between the lines. So, can you talk about the experience of Slamdance and what that festival meant to you and what it meant to be at the closing night? I was at Sundance at the time, and so I didn't make it over, but I think next year I should come over, because they're so close together and they're happening at the same time.
Sure, that was a wonderful experience. And the screening was great and exciting, and there was a real love for the festival and for the films that get shown there, and so there was this real enthusiasm around it that I was really grateful for, and that has continued into this screening. So for me, being able to screen here, thanks to Slamdance, is amazing, and I haven't had the opportunity to screen in such a big theater for such a big audience. So yeah, for me, it's been great, and they've been very supportive.
No, this is a nice screen to watch
Yeah, it's so nice.
your own movie.
The only screen that matches the post house screen, where the movie looked and sounded awesome.
So Ryder and Joe, do you guys want to maybe talk about the post-production aspects of the film? You know, in terms of, like, you know, Ryder, were you looking at the script or, you know, at the stories before you started composing, or were you working, you know, after the movie was shot?
No, the movie had been shot by the time I saw it. Yeah, and I mean, except maybe aside for color correction. But yeah, I came in kind of at the end as well.
It's a very nice score. Have you scored other films before?
A few.
Anything?
Yeah, this was the third.
Okay. Anything that we would know?
One that has screened at a couple of the other festivals as Yosemite is Uncle Kent 2 by Tugger Hall.
I've seen that actually.
Oh, good.
Yes, yes.
Did you like it?
Yes, I did.
Good.
I didn't see Uncle Kent 1,
Nobody did.
but exactly, it doesn't matter. And Joe, since this is a, you know, these are three essentially short stories that are being adapted, you know, into one film, how do you find a connective tissue, you know, in the editing bag?
Well, I think that was really present before and also in the script. So what was really interesting to know about the process for this is that Gabby shot two of the stories first, and then there was a little bit of a break in production, so we had a chance to work with those before she went and shot the last story. So I think that was very helpful.
Yeah, that was the Yosemite part was shot a couple months after the Palo Alto part.
Yeah. So it's good to be able to, you know, assess how the story was working and see the characters and stuff before she went and shot the beginning.
So I'm just sort of making my way down the line here. So Henry, you're sort of playing this ambiguously predatorial person.
Yeah.
So who is this guy to you?
I don't know. I think it's a big question. But he's a lonely guy. He's kind of a creep. But he also is very sincere, I guess, in a way. And I don't know, Alec is just sort of so amazing that most of my experience with it was kind of playing off of him. And he's a great young actor, I guess. He's an actor, I don't know. But
Yeah, Gabrielle, you do draw very naturalistic, lovely performances from the kids. So, you know, what are the challenges of directing young children who maybe haven't been on the screen before?
I think the main thing was how long I wanted the casting process to be, because I knew it would be so important to find the right kids and have them be good. So that was something that I invested a lot of time in on my own. Even when we did a reading of the script, I found Alec in New York. And then when we went out to do a research trip, I found a second kid. So it was like this long process. And then I guess before we started shooting, it was pretty terrifying, wondering if they would be actually good or able to focus. And you kind of hear horror stories about 10-year-olds running wild and like not being able to concentrate. And like, but it was actually, I had a very good rapport with them, and it just became really, really fun trying to figure out how to create like a scene that would feel believable and like put them in the right mindset and activities. And it somehow wasn't the hardest part of the shoot at all. Yeah, so that it was actually very fun, and I got along with them well.
What was the hardest part of the shoot?
Clara can speak to it, but I'd say, I mean, that is the counterpoint to working with the kids, was the scheduling was insane. So we would have like 8-hour days or 10-hour days on a like 17 or 18-day shoot, and so that was pretty nerve-wracking. But there are numerous other challenges.
It's like trying to choose which of my children is my least favorite. Yeah, the schedule was probably the most troubling, besides just being underfunded. You know, we set out to do our best by Gabby's script, which we all loved, and it's a period piece shot outside of LA, part of which is shot in a national park with fire and copious animals and miners. So, any one of those things.
Well, before we open up the floor for the audience to ask questions, I just wanted to ask about the amazing cat Charlie, the story of
you.
casting
His
this
real name
wonderful
is Dream
cast.
Cloud, actually. And that was, I have to say, some of the magic was of the production designer who really was insistent on casting a specific cat. And I think, I mean, having the cat be fat was really a nice touch to creating that slightly exaggerated childhood feeling, I think.
Okay.
He's more likely to get eaten, I imagine.
He's very appetizing.
Fleshy.
I'm sure. Yeah, he's very fat.
Anyone else would like to ask questions?
Didn't one of you guys say you planted somebody in the audience?
As I was
Yeah.
running, I
Approve of that.
Okay.
For the director. I love the movie.
Oh, can you guys hear okay, by the way?
But, the third story, the scene at school, when they are in silence for the mountain lion. Was that an accident, or you choose that fly when you walk?
That was an accident. Or there were a lot of lucky accidents with animals. The raven was also an accident. But I did sort of give direction to the cinematographers to specifically film any animals they would see. So that's how we filmed the cat, and that's how we filmed the squirrel and all that. But the hummingbird too.
And the spider?
But the spider was actually intentional. That spider was in the script.
That spider's highly trained.
Highly trained, wrangled spider.
Yes, in the back.
So it seems like there's this mini genre arriving. It's sort of a realist genre of growing up films in America, like some of them Into the Treetops of Boyhood and this film, and all of them share this very delicate realism. And I'm wondering if you were aware of that there are other people kind of working in this field, and if you had any inspiration to get to that tone.
Well, I grew up in France. I'm actually half French, and I grew up in France, so I feel like that's a pretty established genre of kind of, realist, coming of age films, and a lot of them that I love. I guess, yeah, like Maurice Pialat and Truffaut, and there are a lot of them. But I mean, I guess they exist in every country, but definitely that's where I would say I grew up. The movies I grew up watching.
Yes, over here.
With the color of the film, is there a specificity or feeling that you wanted to kind of imbibe in it? I like the coolness of it. I like that kind of maybe surrealist aspect. What were you thinking of that?
Yeah, the question is the inspiration for the color of the movie.
We looked, the cinematographers and I looked at a lot of photography, so a lot of Stephen Shore photography and, I think, and 70s photography, because in a funny way, the 80s people think of as very poppy and flashy, but there's that whole remnant of the 70s that's still very much in the color palettes. And yeah, I guess it was trying to instill a little bit of the period and the retro quality, but not overdoing it. And I guess I kind of gravitate towards pastels, like color photography.
What year is the movie specifically? And they were talking about Temple of Doom, so I was trying to remember when
yeah.
that came out.
I think that came out in 1985. The movie takes place in 1985.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question in the back?
It's just a comment. It was so cool to see the early stages of the World Wide Web in there.
Okay.
How did you use that? It was such a cool choice. Was that a choice specifically from the story, or what it was actually saying on there? It was very cool.
Yeah, that actually wasn't in the stories. And once I decided to make, it seemed really hard to make the stories contemporary because you wouldn't really have kids walking around unsupervised now. So that sort of dictated the choice of keeping it to the time period. And then I started doing research into Palo Alto and got pretty excited and interested in making it as specific as possible and, creating that contrast with how we connect to each other now seemed interesting. And so I created the dad character in the kind of early chat rooms and did research into that. And then I had this great collaborator, named Ryan Janelle, he reproduced all the chat rooms, and he actually got super creative with the animal chat rooms and did a lot of funny stuff that I don't know if people had time to notice, but was really funny and creative.
Where did you get one of those old computers?
And we got an old computer from the Computer Museum in Palo Alto, but of course it didn't work and it was a disaster, so then it was all done in post.
Was there a question over here? It's hard to see. Yes, right here.
I have a question about the first short story. Was there a significance of the bones in the fire?
Sure. Every element is significant. But yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be he thinks it's human, but he's not sure, and kind of the way you remember, you know, as a child, you have these kind of traumatic experiences, but there's some doubt as to what you may have seen, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like each of them is experiencing a loss of innocence kind of moment, right?
Yeah, and dealing with death for the first time.
Right here?
Yeah, I have a question about the first story, the first segment. So you're shooting in this beautifully vast landscape like Yosemite, and yet there was a heavy concentration, I noticed, of sort of close-up shots, and very few wide shots in capturing that whole setting. So I wondered if that was a conscientious choice to do that, and if so, what was the motive behind it?
I'm not totally aware of that. I guess I was interested in contrasting very close shots and very wide shots. But I will say that it is pretty hard to capture the enormity and the majesticness of Yosemite. And then you kind of wish you had more money and you could use scope. And it was frustrating to have these kind of magical experiences in person and then see it in the camera. It wasn't quite the same.
We can do one more question, I think, right over here.
You mentioned earlier that you didn't make your goal for raising money. What would be different in the movie if you had?
Well, I guess it's interesting because I didn't really think about it when we were making it because I just wanted to make it with whatever we had, and I didn't really think about the budget too much. I was sort of like just, willfully trying to get it made. But now it's very clear that there's like a scope to the world that's much smaller when you don't have money, and had there been money, there would have been a bigger train and there would have been a more dramatic. Initially the fire in the story is like 6 feet tall, so obviously all the elements, there's potential with more money for more drama. So yeah, that's, so there's an element of the scope you have is budget related.
Yeah, just even having more period-specific cars in the background.
And music, we wanted Tears for Fears. Yeah, I mean, all the music is original because we couldn't afford any of the 80s tracks and all that. And Ryder did an amazing job of recreating.
Yeah, you did a nice job of capturing the period, I thought, and it's nice to see a movie without cell phones. And, I enjoy that, just personally.
I wish.
So I do want to note that you are in talks with a U.S. distributor.
Yeah.
Yes. So eventually this will get a theatrical or possibly VOD rollout.
Exactly.
So. Okay. Well, unless there's any last burning questions, I guess we can leave it there.
How
So.
many days it took to shoot it?
We shot for,
The first scene was 13, 14,
and then 4.
and then 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very great.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Wonderful.